Welcome everyone, it's Glacier Guy and Rock the Glacier as always. It's a little blue today, but that's not too bad. It's got some grays in there. Anyways, it's the 29th of October, doing a studio update. It's been almost about 5 months, 5-ish, 6-ish months, since I last did a video. Obviously the background looks a little bit different than the previous video. Let's get into it. Let's kind of see if we can get this going. So I got a little bit of a cold. I'm doing some traveling. A lot of traveling since I think August 1st was when we first stepped on the road, and we've been traveling pretty much ever since. Okay, so I moved. I moved from my lovely previous house that was in the desert, and I moved to more of a coastal region. A lot of trees, 4-ish seasons. Hopefully we get snow. We might get some snow this year. I did get some snow when I lived in the desert, but only a little bit of snow. Anyways, let's see. Selling my house. Selling my house was... So, it's 2023, so obviously buying a house is a giant pain. But selling a house is also somewhat difficult. With the way the market is, it's... your houses are valued... Well, my house's value was much higher than it was when I bought it. So, my house was valued much higher than what I originally bought it for back in 2020. But I didn't want to sell it. I wanted to make a decent profit, but I didn't want to try to sell it for too expensive. We had a buyer that met my asking price. I did an asking price range from I'm not going to do the exact amount, but it was from this range to this range. I had someone put inside the range, and then their funding fell through, and they blamed things with the house. But those are all things I would have credited them, so it didn't work out. And that was really started frustrating because I needed the money from the house sale to purchase the new house, or at least get into a nice rental. So that was kind of a pain in the ass. And so I moved. So right as I was moving, a few days before I left, I got a new offer that was slightly below asking. But the offer looked a lot more concrete, and I was still going to make a decent amount of profit so I could put a down payment on a new house. Not enough to buy a brand new 4Runner or anything like that, but enough to get into the new house and buy some things. So went with that. From what I understand, I was a single mom with some kids, and then they wanted to get into a slightly larger house, and I got that all squared away. And so while that was transitioning, I got over to this area, and I looked around. We were looking around for houses, and I didn't want to make an offer on a house until I knew I had the money. But like here in this market, so apparently a few months ago, before I moved in, it was really, really cutthroat. Like people were seeing houses and getting multiple offers. But as I was entering the housing market with the interest rate where it's at, in August, September timeframe, and there were houses that were getting a lot of offers, but in my price point, I was higher up. So my price point for this house was significantly higher than my last house. But I had the money to pay the down payment and everything. And so I was like, all right, let's go into it. Oh, hi, Lily. It's my cat. Yeah. I'm doing a video. And so we were able to get into the new house with only my one offer. And so I offered asking. And so because my realtor kind of wanted to throw in some more money over asking. And I was like, look, this is the cap of what we want to spend. We can go find a smaller house, that's fine, but this is the most amount of money we want to spend on a house, because monthly mortgage payments is going to be, if we go any higher than what we're at right now, it's not really going to be sustainable. So went with just offered asking on a Friday morning and heard back Sunday. I guess they were trying to entertain other offers, and they didn't really get any other offers. So when we saw this house, it was staged very well. Very nice house. Layout was great. The curb appeal was nice. Everything kind of fell into place. Once we got the house and then we moved in and did all the inspections, there weren't very many red flags with the inspections. So we were perfectly fine with that. Now I knew that the carpet in the upstairs I wanted to replace because it was very old and it was stained in a lot of places. So at least I knew I wanted to replace the carpet, but I didn't think I was going to need to replace anything else. My last time I bought my house, when I bought my first house, the only thing I had to really replace, I had to put washer and dryer because they didn't come with them, And the only thing I really had to replace my old house was the stove that malfunctioned, and I had a home warranty, and they were like, yeah, we can send somebody out to come look at it and fix it, or we can credit you to buy a new one. And so I just went and bought a new one because the stove wasn't too expensive at the time. Now fast forward to here. So we came in, and I knew I wanted new carpet in the upstairs, and so I was waiting for the carpet guy to call me back. Finally coordinated the carpets situation. But at the same time the carpet was going through, we had an issue where, like, we went and opened the microwave. Now, unfortunately, this is my bad. When we were doing the inspection, the inspectors made sure everything functioned, but I didn't really look too closely at the microwave, and so I went to pull the microwave open. It was really corroded and rusted inside. Did it still work? Yes. But it's very old and pretty kind of gross. And I was like, all right, I've done range top microwave replacements, so I took my tools that I had, took the microwave out. It was kind of heavy, really old. And then I found out that there's no standard plug. So this house is built in, I think, 99. And when it was built, I guess the code, there must have been a range hood up there or something, but there was no plug-in for the microwave. It was just hot wired into a wire sticking out of the wall. And I was like, well, that's frustrating. If I have a picture, I'll throw it up, but I probably don't. So I ended up capping the wire, shutting off the breaker for that. But that also, the wire, it was wired in with the garbage disposal outlet, so that's fun. Not with the wall outlet though, just the garbage disposal outlet. So we had the range hood issue, and then I was like starting to look at all the other appliances, and I was like, well, after closing, I did still have a decent amount of money left over after closing from selling my previous house. And so I was like, well, one, there's some damage to the LVP, which is the snap-together floor tiling, and I know we need new carpet. So got the carpet and the LVP repaired. Got the new carpet installed. It's nice gray, kind of pet-proof carpet. It's supposed to maintain its shape and be stain-free for 10 years, so it's pretty good. And they installed the entire carpet in one day and fixed the LVP in one day. So kudos to that. I really don't want to name the company because I don't want to reveal exactly where I live or even the area I live in. But anyways, we had the issue. We got the carpet fixed, and then I started looking at appliances. And I was like, well, if we're gonna get a new, the stove looks kind of old too, so let's get a new stove. So we looked at getting a new stove. And looking at getting a new, we tried to get I was gonna remount the microwave over the range, but without the plug-in, I would have had to hot wire the new range microwave. So we got a benchtop microwave. I bought a range hood. I've since installed the range hood. That was annoying to install. Oddly enough, it was just trying to get to fit up in there. That was annoying. The range hood got installed, and then we got a new new refrigerator, and we got French doors and two freezer basements. So refrigerator new, then we got new stove, new refrigerator, new washers and dryers because the house didn't come with washer and dryer. The previous owner took those. So we got mostly all new appliances. The only thing that's not really new is the dishwasher. Now the dishwasher will probably be replaced sometime within the next 3 to 4 months. It's got probably another couple of year or two left on it, but it definitely needs to be swapped out. So the dishwasher is on the next chopping block. I replaced the kitchen sink faucet. That was fun. Did a lot of plumbing in the house. We got new toilets in the house, so we're having issues where all the stops for the toilets were very corroded and old, and they were all soldered on stops. Had a plumber come out, and I couldn't figure out where the main shutoff for the house was, and the housing inspectors, they couldn't find it in the house either, so they were shutting off of the street. And so I did end up finding the main shutoff valve. It was actually in a closet, and it was kind of buried. That's why the housing inspectors and everything, they couldn't find it, but I found it and I shut it off. But before I figured out where the main shutoff was, I hired this local plumber, really great guy, and he replaced all 3 of my toilets. I had always wanted at my previous house, I'd always wanted an elongated toilet, so I got 3 elongated toilets that were on sale, so good job. Replaced all 3 of those, got all new stops. They were using compression stops, and then when I was down under the sink, taking out the old faucet, because the old faucet was was falling apart, The sink isn't, and the kitchen has a really nice granite, but I think it's granite. It could be marble. No, that's probably granite. It's some sort of weird aqua pattern. But when I was taking care of that, I noticed, like, I went to shut the shut-off valves, and they were kind of old. They were soldered on too. But I went to shut off the shut-off valves, and the cold water shut off, no problem. The hot water didn't shut off. It was still dripping out. So I had to replace those, and then that's when I found the main shut-off, and so I did that all by myself. I used the SharkBite, they're not compression, they're push-on SharkBite fittings, and that was really fun. And so I'm not saying I'll never need to call a plumber again, but at least for those kind of replacing shut-off valves and putting new faucets in and new drains and stuff, I think I've reached the level of competency to where I can do that by myself. So we got new appliances, new carpet, new toilets, new faucet. And then one thing I wanted is this house, since it was built in '99, it had no coaxial cable ran through the house, and it had no cat, obviously no internet. My previous house, built in '06, had cat 6, or no, had not cat, had coaxial running through the entire house. But also the shape of the house is very long, rectangular, and so me and my wife could be in the same rooms, we could do the same things, and we didn't really have to be separated. This house being 2-story and being a slightly different shape for all the rooms, although the house is significantly larger than the previous house that we had, the rooms, because of the 2-story nature of it, and the way it was built in '99, we can't really hang out in the same rooms all that much. I mean, we could, but it's not super feasible, and there's not a whole lot of wiring in this house for electric. I mean, every room has a decent amount of outlets, but doesn't have nearly as much as probably a modern home would have. And so I don't want my gaming computer and her gaming computer on the same circuit, because then if you're drawing too much current from the same circuit, it'll just flip it off. So she's got her own room down the hall, she's got her own gaming system and everything. But what we found out is we didn't have any way to run internet individually to the rooms hardwired. Now we could have went with so we have FiOS to the house, so we have fiber to the house, but we don't have. But since there was no coax, we couldn't run Mocha to each room. There was some coax kind of snaked around the house, but it wasn't like it was snaked in from the outside, not in. So I hired a company to run Cat 6 through the walls. Was it Cat 6? Well, all I needed was Cat 5, because the fiber cap is 1 gig, so I was like, well, I really don't need anything over 1 gig transfer speed. But they ran some Cat 6 through the walls. But in the process of running Cat 6 through the walls, especially so where I'm sitting right now, the wall that is right behind these monitors is into one of the bathrooms. And so as he was cutting a hole to run to Trailblaze up through the wall, he found a significant amount of water damage inside the wall. So when the home inspectors were doing their inspection, so first of all, the wall had no visible signs of water damage anywhere on it. When we looked through the house, I remember specifically looking at that wall the day before the Cat 6, and there was no visible signs. It looked perfectly fine. There were no visible signs in the bathroom or anything that there was any water leak whatsoever. And so when they fleared the walls looking for cold spots, and they didn't really see any cold spots or anything. Well, they did see a cold spot over in the attic, which is like actually, no, not in the attic, in the garage shooting up. They saw a cold spot, which turned out to be kind of a leaky P-trap from the shower, was just kind of leaving a slow drip down. And so that got fixed, that got repaired. Patch job was pretty crappy, I'm not going to lie. But they fixed that leak, and so that got squared away. But there's no way for the home inspector to see the leak under this wall. And of course, my home warranty hadn't gone into effect because the home warranty wasn't part of the sale. I actually purchased the home warranty separately, and I purchased it. So that actually, at the time I found the water damage, the home warranty wasn't going to cover it. But I'd already called the plumber out, so I called the plumber and was like, hey, I found some water damage on my wall. And he came over with a buddy of his, and we troubleshot it. We looked at the wall, tried to figure out where the water was coming, and found out that the leak was actually coming from the shutoff valves in the sinks. So it's a double basin, two faucets, and then one of the shutoff valves had the old PEX tubing going straight up into the thing, and that was just slowly dripping. But the angle of the cabinets, because they weren't super made flush, the angle of the cabinets was slowly rolling the water back behind the shelf, and it was just coming through a little crack. You could barely see where the water was coming through, and it was slowly dripping up against the wall. So I found out where the water damage was coming from. At first, I thought it was coming from a drain pipe, where the water damage was all around a drain pipe. We checked the attic. We followed the drain pipe's exhaust all the way to the attic, looked down. No signs of water damage from the roof. No signs of water damage coming down from the ceiling or anything. And we couldn't find any water damage coming from up from the bottom. And the pipe had no leaks in it whatsoever. We checked the pipe. We ran water down the drain. Nothing going on. But we noticed a slow drip coming from the shutoff valve. So because he'd already done the toilets, just replaced the shutoff valves under the sinks, put new faucets in there, put new drains in there that came with the faucets. The drains weren't installed perfectly well, so I'm going to have to redo that. I did call the plumber over here to fix it. They did tighten it down, and they were going to come back to fix it if I had any problems. But at this point, I know enough about plumbing. I'm just going to fix it by myself. And it's not a big deal. It's just a slow drip down the drain. I got a little catch bucket. Hardly ever really has any water in it, but I want to fix that so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, so we found water damage in the wall, and it was pretty extensive water damage. It was right where the Cat 6 line was going. So got that fixed, got that hooked up, everything done. I had to buy a new oscillating tool. I really like that oscillating tool, actually, now. I use it all the time. But yeah, moving into the house. So with closing cost and new appliances, a new carpet, new Cat 6, new toilets, new faucets, everything, it was starting to get kind of expensive. I still had a decent amount of money left over. And then I started to unpack all my stuff. Movers showed up, and it took forever to unpack the house. And then unpacking my gaming computers was kind of like the last thing I did because I wanted to make sure everything else was sort of set up. And so I unpacked my gaming computer, plugged it in, and the 2080 Ti in my Threadripper computer, it was just not happening. I don't know exactly what happened. So normally in a move, what I will do is I'll take the video card out, put it back in its original box, and I'll take that expanding foam and put it inside the case so the motherboard and everything kind of stays structurally sound, and I would take off the CPU cooler. I didn't do that this time. I was just like, nah, everything's fine. The computer is kind of old anyway, so if it doesn't survive, it doesn't survive. So I tightened everything down, and I just let it taken care of. But obviously, the way the movers put all the computers into the moving van, or moving, well, it's a moving van, but it's really a semi truck trailer. But anyways, so as they packed it all away and took it away, I actually have it right here. Yeah, so my old EVGA, if I can put the wires from it. My old EVGA 2080 Ti. Like, it would work occasionally, but it kind of bugged out a little bit, so not. I missed it, but I was already starting to have issues with games, trying to run newer games on it. I wasn't getting like the FPS that I wanted, so yeah, and I kind of wanted to get. I didn't really want to get an upgrade because I wanted to wait till the next generation, but I had money to buy new gaming computers. Plus, I wanted to get my wife a gaming computer because she didn't have one, and so I got I ended up just building 2 new gaming computers. So that also cost quite a bit of money. It was just under $8,000 for 2 new gaming computers. So in mine, I have the 7950 X3D 16-core processor from AMD, AM5 motherboard. I have an X670E motherboard. I've got 2 sticks of 30. Well, I got 32 gigs of DDR5. Cannot get it to overclock, and I have to look into it because I was of the impression that the X3D CPUs, you could still overclock the memory, but not the processor themselves. And so kind of figuring that out, trying to figure out what's going on there. But threw in an all-in-one liquid cooler, and I threw in a RTX 4090. Now, I did pick a power supply that comes with that 12-volt cable that will provide 600 watts. So I got a specific power supply, so I'm not using any adapters. I've got it rigged up so there's no strain on the cable. I've got it zip tied in a nice position, so the cable is plugging in directly into the graphics card, no problems. I get a gigabyte graphics card, which was probably the most affordable of the 4090s. 4090s were still kind of expensive. Now with my wife, since she doesn't use her computer as much as I will, and she's just gaming on it. She's not really using it for any other purposes. I got her a what's this 7900X 3D, and then I got her the same a similar motherboard, not exactly the same. I wish I would have bought her the same motherboard that I have, but I got her a slightly cheaper motherboard. Still decent price, but I got her a slightly cheaper one, and that one did not come with discrete 5.1 audio. Now I know a lot of people use headphones, but I use Logitech Z906 or Z960. So I use a 5.1 dedicated surround sound system with wall-mounted speakers for the rear, and the motherboard I got came with dedicated 5.1 connections. The one she has, the only way you can connect the 5.1, the 3.5 millimeter jacks, the only way you can plug it in is to plug two in the back and one on the front panel, and the cable wasn't going to reach there, so I ended up having to get her an aftermarket sound card, but it fit in there. But I got her a 7900X. It's the high end AMD graphics card, and that chonker is about as big as the 4090, and so far it's working pretty good. So got two new gaming computers for me and for my wife. She got a 30, so we both have 34-inch ultra-wide monitors, and then I have 4 monitors total. She only has 2. She's got a vertical and one horizontal, and she's doing pretty well. Went all white on her build, and it's looking nice. So got 2 new gaming computers. She's been playing Baldur's Gate 3 off and on, and I finished Stray. I never played it. I just installed Minecraft on here, so we can maybe see if we can get some Minecraft stuff going on. Not for the channel, but just for playing. I reinstalled The Witcher because I've never beat The Witcher, and I want to beat The Witcher games. I installed Dragon's Dogma because I beat the main dragon in Dragon's Dogma, but I never went to the island for Dark Arisen, so I have that installed. I restarted the game because I kind of forgot where I was with the game, and I want to get through it again. And I've got Diablo, and I got Cyberpunk because I finally have a computer that should run Cyberpunk no problem. But Cyberpunk's like way later. So, gaming computer, new job. So started my new job. Now my new job, very similar to my old job. Working in quality assurance, but with this new job, I'm traveling, I'm on the road, which is another reason why I haven't done an update in a while. So I finished my first trip not too long ago, and it's not bad. It's just a lot of traveling, and I don't know if I got this little cold thing from traveling specifically, or if I was going to get it anyways. Probably a little bit of both. The season changeover from fall into winter always kind of really hits me. So traveling, for the most part, it's like leaving on Monday, coming back on Friday, but some trips is like a little bit longer. And first week without not being near my wife we've been together. I mean, we got married in June, but we have not really been apart since then, aside from she had to go back with her whole cat situation last time. But we haven't been apart for months, and this was like the first time of me going away. So, but other than that, it's pretty all right. On the Warhammer front, I gave away my old gaming table, so I don't have a gaming table right now. I want to build a new one, but we still have a few other things that we got to kind of get sorted out before. I do have a room where I can put the table. It doesn't really have any good lighting in there, so I got to figure out that situation, like how am I going to mount all my lights and everything, how I'm going to decorate the room, how's everything going to get set up. So I haven't figured all that out yet, and I got to buy the materials to build the table, and I want to build the table slightly better than the last one I built. It was fine, but a lot of it was like hand hacksawed, and I want to build it pretty nice. And so I don't have a table. I mean, I have pop-up tables I can use if I wanted to play a game, but like for stop motion, I don't have a table right now. It took forever to get my models unpacked. A lot of them are damaged. My Aggron's wings, I think both wings are knocked off. One of his arms is knocked off. I got to re-glue all that back together, which is another reason why when you do sub-assemblies, then you have to paint them back together. If you don't scratch the paint off and re-glue them appropriately, you're going to run into issues like that, where like they were glued together fine, but there was just enough paint contact to where the glue wasn't as strong, and obviously moving around from like all the way, that was not as good. But got a lot of damaged models. Nothing that I can't just glue back together, but some of the resin, like Victoria Miniature models for the third party guard stuff, some of those will need some pretty extensive re-gluing. And I don't think I didn't lose any Warhammer models. I do have some like desk pieces that I think are missing, but I can't remember exactly what those desk pieces look like, so can't really go like, hey movers, I lost this thing. They're like, what did you lose? And I'm like, I don't actually know. I might not have actually had it. It's not a key component or anything that I've lost. Now I could have put in a refund ticket for my computer before I rebuilt it, but I built my new computer in the same case that I had because I really like this case. I would have had to take my computer to a computer repair shop and get a quote for repair and everything, and it wasn't something I wanted to deal with. So I'm not too worried about that. But I did, as you can see behind me, I picked up Leviathan. So I picked up Leviathan, and I picked up this, how do you say that? Cerastus Knight. So I got the plastic one with, I've always wanted this knight because it got the chainsword and the flamethrower. I always thought it was really cool. I was going to get it for my Sisters of Battle, but seeing as my wife has Sisters of Battle now, I'm not sure what house I'm going to make this. I got to figure out what house I'm going to paint this up. Maybe purple? I'm not sure yet. Well, I got the Leviathan box, so I figured if I got the Leviathan box, I should get the Tyranid Codex and the Space Marine Codex. So I got these. Mixed opinions, but I'm definitely going to be painting the contents of the Leviathan box, at least the Space Marines. There's a lot of Leviathan boxes still kind of out there, so if you're still looking for them, there's a lot of them at local game stores. And so I'm going to be adding these models more than likely to my Blood Ravens? Yeah, Blood Ravens. Or my Space Wolves. Not 100% sure yet. And then I picked up the Cities of Sigmar starter set. My wife got this for me. And I'm going to be painting them this purple color, which, let me open it up real quick and find out where the cities are. 1 second. Lethis, page 31. We're doing it live. Yeah. So we're going with Lethis, which is the purple kind of color scheme. And they're kind of really gloomy, kind of gloomy gusses. But she liked the purple raven, and so we're going to be going with that color scheme. So yeah. Now, I really haven't gotten a lot of progress. So I got this set, and I was like, all right, so what do I want to do? Do I want to build some models? Do I want to paint some models? What do I want to do to kind of get back into it? And the army set, so Cities of Sigmar, I have such a weird situation with current Cities of Sigmar. The models look really nice. Some of the infantry looks a little goofy, but the overall model style is nice for Age of Sigmar. I have an entire Empire army that was still Cities of Sigmar, and you can still use those models, but at this point with Old Worlds coming out, my plan is to rebase all of those old Cities models on square bases, get them rank and file, and then this will be my Cities of Sigmar color scheme for just the new models that are coming out for Cities. And so between spending time with my wife and getting all the house projects squared away and work, I have only gotten 3 horsemen assembled and the characters assembled in the box. I still have to finish 2 more horsemen assembled and get the 20 infantry, and I think there's 1 or 2 characters that are in the infantry squad that are added there, but at least to get all those assembled, and that'll just take a long time. And so getting a house set up and everything, it's just been a lot longer than I wanted to. When I first moved into my previous house, it was just me, and so I set the house up. I had everything unpacked relatively quickly. This house, so I haven't had a house that had stairs in. I've lived on single stories for a very long time. I don't even when I had apartments, there were elevators, and I really didn't have as many things when I lived in apartments. But all the houses I've lived in for a long time have been single stories. This is the first one with stairs. I injured my leg. It's possible that while walking around up and down stairs and not being super used to it, and then trying to run, I was running. I was doing some sprints, just kind of keep it fit, and then I popped my calf, and it's been a long recovery. So the bruising finally showed up. But like I've just been doing a lot of like random projects around the house, like the storm drains for the house. They were just dumping water like right at the drain exit. They weren't pushing water away from the foundation, and so we had some not foundation wear. No, there's no foundation issues with the house. It's on a slab, but the issue is that there's some slight water erosion in the soil around the house, and so I have to re-add some more soil to counter that erosion. And so one of the things I did is I bought these tube extensions that go onto all the water. I do have to fix one that's on the roof because it's two-tiered drop where it's exhausting water onto the roof, which is fine. The roof looks fine. It's only a third way through its life because the house was built in '99, but the roof had been redone apparently. And so kind of trying to fix some of the water flow, keeping the water as far away from the foundation as possible. And I do have a decent slope backyard, so that's not a big problem. But the AC drip vent just kind of goes out like a half inch from the house and drips straight down. And so we're getting drip, 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 drip. It is getting colder, so we won't need the AC for much longer. And it doesn't really run that often. It's just certain times the house. The sun is just like beaming right on like one side of the house for quite a while. So the AC does kick on a few times a day as of right now. Now in the summer it's probably going to be on a lot longer. So I wanted to put an extension on the pipe. And so what I wanted to do is right now the pipe comes out and drops down and just drips down. So I wanted to add an extension to the pipe. Ooh, actually no, I was missing a fitting anyways. I wanted to add an extension to the pipe and then put a 90 degree on it and then add another. So I was going to cut this is a 2-foot section. I was going to cut this in half, or about half or so, and I was going to hook it into the existing drip pipe, which means I actually needed another fitting anyways. So whatever. And then I was going to hook this into here, and I was going to kind of shoot it about a foot or so away from the foundation. And that's what I was going to do with the drip pipe to help keep that area from getting too watered. And I learned I don't know how to measure PVC. So, fun fact, I've never had to measure PVC. I've never had to do plumbing work that would require me to measure PVC. I could have asked my dad, but I just kind of shoot my shot on this one, and I shot it wrong. And so I looked at the pipe, and there's this little words here. It talks about like 1-inch round pipe PVC and like the manufacturing. And but when I looked on the one on the outside, I couldn't read it. I couldn't see what it said on it. And so I measured it with a tape measure. When I measured it, it measured an inch and a quarter. And it's kind of like wet around that area, and so I didn't want to lay down on the ground to like measure it. What I found out is that PVC pipe is measured from the inner diameter, and I found that out because when I bought this section of pipe, which is 1-inch pipe, but it's a 1-inch interior diameter pipe, and then when I bought this 1-inch fitting to go on the outside to like put the 90 on there, I found out that this is not the right size. So the pipe I have coming out of the AC is 1-inch outer diameter, which means I'll have to measure it again, which means I got to get under there and kind of actually measure it. I think that means it's 3/4 inner diameter. Not 100% sure. I'm going to check it because the wall thickness on PVC can be slightly different. Most of the time it's not, and there may be something that I'm missing, but I will be measuring the inner diameter so I get a proper measurements when I get the pipe. Because I walked over and I was like, oh yeah, this is the wrong size, because it was just like flopping around in there. And I was like, all right. Plus, I just realized I needed a fitting. Now what I could do is I could go 3/4. I could find an adapter 3/4 to 1 inch, so I could still use this. You know what? That's possible. I could find an adapter that'll fit onto there, because I needed a straight pipe adapter to connect the two pipes together anyways. So I might still be able to use this bigger pipe. I won't need it, but I'll probably still be able to use it, which will be fine because then I'll have a lot more length to shoot it away from the house. So that'll be good. But yeah, so a lot of things happening. I woke up this morning. I've been feeling under the weather, And I took some NyQuil last night, and I don't typically take much NyQuil. It's been a while, and I think I took generic, like store brand NyQuil, but and so I just took one pill because I feel like I'm getting over the hump, but I'm not there yet. So I was like, all right, we'll take one pill. Took one pill. My alarm went off at 6 because like I like to get up and be productive. My alarm went off at 6, and I could not get out of. I mean, I could get out of bed, but I was like really lethargic. And I was like, man, I am really, really tired. And I had done a lot of yard work yesterday, and so with my ruptured calf, so the calf is like muscle strain. I didn't tear the muscle, but it's definitely weaker. So I was moving the lawnmower around, and I felt like mowing the lawn was gonna be fine. But I looked at my step counter yesterday, and I had like 11,000 steps, and so I was like, I think I've been walking more than I probably should. I know I'm like physical therapy. I got my physical therapy appointment is not until like a month from now, which really sucks. I was trying to see if I can get change my physical therapy sooner, but either way, a lot of things going on. As far as the Warhammer updates, hopefully I can get this week because I'm just mostly around the house this week. But hopefully I can get some of the Cities of Sigmar models assembled, and we can get those. I think I want to assemble those and paint those. Do I want to buy? So the new Cities of Sigmar stuff is on pre-order right now, and so it'll be available next Friday. Next Saturday. It'll be available for purchase, and I probably can buy some of the models locally. But I think I'm going to just paint these and assemble these, and then just call it good for those. And then I might move on to that knight, or I might move on to Leviathan, just to get the Leviathan assembled and painted, or I might pick up. I have a lot of guard armies, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do after I finish the Cities of Sigmar. I might switch over and start painting an army. Oh, one thing I ran into. So I painted a lot of those Space Wolves Christmas themed, because at the time I wanted to do a Christmas themed army. And so I painted a lot of them green, and they have white and red shoulder pads and gold. And I was looking at it, I was like, man, I really, really do like the original Space Wolves blue. And so for this color project, I was making all the characters red, kind of like Santa's helpers, and I was making all the normal troops green, and it had already base coated all of those models. And I was getting kind of frustrated. I was like, man, I don't know if I like the green, because I don't know if I'll be able to make a custom chaptered Space Wolf army, because like Space Wolves are the one chapter that doesn't really change their color scheme all that much. There's a few Space Wolves that have some more black in there, but not a lot. Like no Space Wolves have green. And I didn't want to make them Dark Angels because I already used a lot of Space Wolf models, and so I was like, what do I do? Do I strip them and repaint them and make them blue? Because like that wouldn't be too difficult, but it's a lot of models to do that with. I've got 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I've got a lot of infantry, a lot of characters, so a lot of stuff I'd have to strip. Now, some of it I can probably just repaint over because the green layer I laid down, not very thick. So some of them I can probably just if I can find a good gray airbrush paint, I can probably just repaint all of them without stripping them. That's a possibility. I've seen some painters have repainted over. So some people are worried about loss of detail, but some painters I've seen, as long as you do nice thin coats of the airbrush, you can put a lot of coats on a model before any detail is really lost. So I might not have to strip them, but I'm not super thrilled about the green. The problem is I painted a lot of the stuff green, like I finished them. A lot of the Terminators, the Relic Terminators are finished, the Close Combat Terminators are finished, and so if I all of a sudden flip over and paint them normal Space Wolves blue, that's just gonna be having to repaint all those models. Plus, I have the Blood Ravens, so I was getting frustrated with my Space Wolves, and I kind of wanted to just like find somebody to like take them off my hands, paint or buy them from me, take them for free. I'm not 100% sure, haven't decided yet. But they're blue or they're green, and I'm like, who would take these? There's probably somebody, but sorry, I got distracted by my wife's ass. She just walked past, and it was looking nice. So aside from that, yeah. So now you learned something new. Inner diameter is how you measure PVC pipe. At least in America. I don't know about what they do overseas, but and I will see if I can find just an adapter. I think I could go from 3/4 to 1 inch. I think they probably got an adapter for that, so I might be able to reuse this. So all is not lost. And aside from that, I hope you guys have a great one. I don't know when the next video is going to be. I have traveling. I travel at least 1 to 2 weeks every month now, so my hobby time is severely limited. And obviously, I have to spend time with my wife because I love her. And why would I have gotten married if I didn't want to spend time with my wife? That would be silly. So yeah, but we're working on it. I picked up a new laptop so I can try to work on book 2 while I'm on the road, and I've been playing some DS while I'm on the road. I'm gonna see if I can get through all those Pokemon games. I was playing Heart Gold because I finished Red and I was playing Heart Gold, and I got to the Ghost Gym Leader, which is like the 4th Gym Leader, and I got my ass handed to me. So I got to go level up my characters before I go back into that Gym Leader and take on those ghosts. Need a lot of awakening spells because they use hypnosis a lot on some of their characters and put me to sleep and use Dream Eater. Sucks. And then Shadow Ball sucks. The Shadow Ball doesn't work on normal types. But anyways, getting ahead of myself. But I think that's pretty much it. It's been kind of a rant, but it's been 5 months, so a lot of stuff in 5 months. Yeah, I'm gonna go see if I can work on some models. You guys have a great one. I'll see you around. Yeah, goodbye.